You guys can give a short introduction of what you guys do at your role, current stage, and maybe then we start off with a panel discussion.
My name's Tony Lade. I'm actually a founder and CEO of NOWChain. We are a new consensus, built a new consensus proof of mobile consensus through a simple app called Mobile Note. We have over 100,000 downloads within the last 4 months. So our company's actually growing quite rapidly. We actually solving the pain point is trying to get people to involve in blockchain without knowing actually they are on the blockchain, just as easy as just to get on the internet without the technology, no one really technology behind it. So try to solve that real case scenario where we can bring everybody on board without the limited knowledge or no technical background. Okay.
My name is Karthik. Yeah. Hey, my name is Karthik. I'm the strategy leader at Aether, basically working on special projects like the note sale where we raised 168 million, token launch, the eco fund, AI agents, all that stuff. For Aether, we are a decentralized enterprise-grade cloud compute infra focused on GPU compute, mainly for gaming and AI companies, and anything that needs virtualized compute. Excited to be here.
Thank you, guys. So we start off with the first question, right? Scaling crypto networks for a thriving future. So as we know that crypto networks evolve beyond early adoption phases, scaling challenges having to become increasingly critical. So the path to widespread adoption requires solutions that balance performance, security, and decentralization in unprecedented ways. So the first question is, what metrics should we use to measure real adoption's success beyond just transaction counts and TVLs? Maybe we can start with Sam.
For sure. I think that's a great question too, but if you look back into how Facebook's and Instagram and how they actually measure the ecosystem, the same thing in what we do, you got to look at the user engagement, the actual user engagement, how many people is actually on the blockchains. That's what we do with NOWChain also with our apps. We know exactly how many people is actually connected on chains. So once they are on chains, they got to participate, and that's how we measure them. So user engagement is very important, yeah.
Thank you. So maybe I start with you first, Karthik. So which projects are solving problems in traditional industries instead of creating new ones? So this is something that many people are saying that when they come up with a new project, right, they are trying to solve issues. But in terms, for your case, right, what do you think, which projects are solving like real-time issues on the traditional finance?
Yeah, I mean...
So there's quite a few out there actually starting that project. One of the company I can think of right now is MediLedger, which try to solve the solution where they track the medicines, from the pharmacies to the make sure they're safe. There are one VeChains, there are a couple other ones. That's what we do as now too, is we try to partner up with different companies actually solving that problem where, from food to the store, from farm to store and all that, so.
Speaking about adoption, right? So does mainstream adoption requires hiding the word blockchain? Because as you know, when it comes to traditional finance, like our relatives and stuff like that, when you talk about crypto, blockchain, right? They straight away like say, oh no, this is a scam or something like that. So do you think that for mainstream adoption, right, do we need to hide the word blockchain on this?
I think that's a great question too, because majority of people actually trading or using blockchain or crypto technology, they not really they pretty much want it to work. They don't care about how exactly it's going to work. It's the same thing with the internet. I've talked about this before. People use the internet without realizing the term TCP/IP behind it. They just want it to work. So in a way, I think we do need to hide that in a way, to an extent. Whether you, how to approach different people. Users, like I said, users want it to work. They don't know the whole technology behind it. They just want it to work. If you look at IBM, one of the biggest blockchain adoption company, apply a lot of technology nowadays. They even have blockchain university. One of the projects I looked at is they looking at how to market the safer food. They don't call it blockchain safer food safety. When you look at their marketing, all term they use is just fresher and safer food. But that's the basic playbook for crypto tech right there. They don't mention anything about blockchain, but they want a safer food. But how are you going to do that? But in the blockchain, where they trade from farm directly to the store. So it is to an extent. I think we need to put that term behind it as the whole marketing. You need to figure out how to apply that to the whole market in order to have that mass adoption there. So
when it comes to user experience versus decentralization, right? Finding the right balance. How much decentralization are users willing to sacrifice for improvement of performance, like, for example, lower gas fees? So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, if it's up to me, I would decentralize everything. I mean, that's the way the blockchain, when Bitcoin was ever invented, everything, to be peer-to-peer, but eventually that got taken away because only the main players are in play now. So with us, I think it is important to keep that. But it is is a very expensive way to keep that decentralization because of the expense that comes with it. So you just gotta find a way to balance that.
UX. So what are the most promising UX innovations that to maintain core crypto values while improving accessibility? So at the same time, right? Maybe share some examples like. Some of the scaling solutions enhance both users' experience and network security.
For that point, I think that you guys bring up the great point there too. But I also think you got to make it the way how to be. Like we touched base on how user adoptions. You got to make it really easy for people to use it, and without the grammar, I have to remember the keys. One other thing is I looked at is the ERC 4337, which is a really cool thing for people to look to build upon. That's what we're looking at to get away from that seed phrase and adopt into that technology.
So now we go to more, I think, something that everyone here would like to know also sometimes, evolving business models beyond your token economics. So how are projects adapting to its business model as the crypto industry matures beyond speculations? Yeah.
So I mean, the crypto industry grown kind of big. As today, I think we move into the phase where we're utilizing speculation is not the way to go. I mean, you got to realize that how are you going to make the same thing as the old business model works with the crypto industry as a whole? We drive into the utility-driven and economic system now. So adopting that, how are we going to get people to use the token-wise, but in a same business model sense, to have the real means of creating the value, rather than just say, hey, my tokens are going to worth that much. That's not going to work anymore. For us, we actually have people actually go out and talk to business. We got 90% of the business is still small businesses. That's the whole economic system. We talk about GDP and everything else too. If you can solve that, I mean, that can solve a lot of issue. If you can utilize that for small businesses to solve that pain point, I think that's going to help a lot. And that's how you create away from speculative, ecosystem there, and that's going to work.
What we have mentioned, right? What are the sustainable revenue models are you guys exploring? So let's say we don't rely on primarily on token appreciation. What are the other things that you guys focus on in terms of sustainable revenue?
For NOWChain, we actually exploring different option there. We're looking at the real use case scenario for a lot of businesses, where you create an actual user there. If you can help the businesses how to market themselves, because a lot of businesses don't have the capital to go out and advertise. If you can find some way to adapt that into your ecosystem, go back to Tron. It's the same thing. You have that native token being used, and that utilize that. That's going to help out that business model as well. So that's one of the way that we're looking at too.
So next thing will be AI and blockchain convergence. So how is the rise of AI reshaping the nature of blockchain applications and users' experience? So what are you guys seeing in the space in terms of AI, and what are your thoughts?
So I think that's the trend now that everybody talk to is pretty much about AI, even with regular businesses. I'm using AI for everything. I think AI is going to help a lot, incorporate into a blockchain. You can automate a lot of problem solving there too. It's really dependent on how you actually approach it. It's going to be very costly if you do it wrong. But it is the growing trend, so it can help or go the other way around.
Okay, so talking about trends, right? Industry cycles and innovation intersections, right? From Coinstore perspective, where are we in the crypto innovation cycle, and what will drive the next wave after the AI? Tony?
Yeah, it is a tough question, because it is. If we know what it is, he's going to put our asset into. But I think we're lucky enough to be where we're still early, and to be able to adapt and change to a different utility there. It's 2020, 2022, we go into DeFi and NFT, but now I think the ecosystem driven more into an ecosystem utility now. Utility-wise, where you find a real-world asset, you adapt that to a real case scenario. I think that's the next wave's going to be. We touch base on AIs and quantum computing, so to speak, but that can be a double-edged sword as well. So a user on this, out there actually looking at, hey, how do I value this token? As a simple, a centralized company is, they're looking at, so how do you value a user base? I mean, that can bring a value to a company as well, not just speculative. And I think I've seen that. I think we're slowly moving away from that and going to a real case scenario.
Thank you. So, in terms of this, right, how will emerging technologies like AI, and I think nowadays some might even say quantum computing, right, change the thinking about blockchain infrastructure? So, I think nowadays you are starting to see more projects saying they are quantum resistance and stuff like that. So, because we are handling a lot of data and stuff like that. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Just to add on top of you guys, quantum computing is one of the ways that it can be double-edged swords. Quantum computing itself is actually, people think that they can solve the blockchain itself, and if that utilized in the wrong way, that could go on the other way around. So a lot, I think, not a lot yet, but there's projects out there that build upon that to build a quantum computing resistant blockchains solving that issue. So we are seeing, like I said, we are seeing that trend. So I think there's a lot of people going to look into that, and you got to be prepared for that.
Okay. So one last topic before we end it off. So the scalability of the trilemma, everyone says, performance, security, and decentralization. So which aspects tends to be compromised like the most? Security, performance, or decentralization?
Yeah, so add on that too. Yeah, it is decentralization. It's a lot of people actually take that for as the compromise issue. But I think for us, we can't afford to compromise on any of them. If you're looking at for mass adoption, people are looking at for transparency, efficiency, and most importantly, security-wise. So you can't afford to compromise on any of those. And I think once you build a project, you actually have to look at the assets. How are you going to protect that user? I mean, you're not building for yourself. You're building for the whole community. So you got to be very careful on that. I don't think you can afford to compromise in any of those ones.
Are there any architectures that strikes a reasonable balance across all these three?
Yeah, I think, as a community, as the whole, everybody's here is actually, as a founder, as an advocate, everybody trying to achieve something. And then we too, target what we want to build, and you got to look at that. You don't want to give up anything. Or basically, we are, depending on what you aim to build, and ultimately it's the end users. You want to look at that before you do anything.
To end this off, something not relevant to blockchain. It's more of, in your own words, right? What you guys think defines a great leader. So how do you guys strive to embody these qualities in your leadership role? Tony?
I think that's a great question too. To me, a great leader is just something not just to manage. A wise man said one time, a great leader is measured during the time of war, not in time of peace. If everything flows fine, and when everything's fine, and then nobody understand that you're a great leader, you do all these. But what happened when something goes wrong? Are you gonna give up? What will you do to solve that problem? To me, that's important. I try to live that as much as possible, because if you're a leader, if something go wrong, are you going to be able to stand there and say, you know what, you got to talk to your team, and you got to stick to your core and say, we have a mission. Stick to that mission. And I try to, with my team, it's the same thing. I live that every day. The first thing I ask my team is, what problem are we solving today? It's not because, I'm here to tell you we have great numbers, we have an exponential of user, etc. I don't need to hear that. We can see that, we can measure that. But to come into a meeting and say, what are we trying to solve? What problem do we have? What is it out there for user to, what are we causing the user? That is what I live with, and that's how I lead every day. And I think if you stick to your core and empower, you got to empower your team to do the same. That's what I think is a great leader. Not because you have everything running smooth, but what happened if you have something go wrong, and how do you fix that?
Thank you so much, guys, for your sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for our panelists and moderator. Do you guys mind taking a photo together?
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone.
Say cheese. 1, 2, 3.